Good.
It cracks me, guys. I'm sorry. I just that one struck me as off. It's Monday. It's 5 o'clock. It is after hours real estate, guys. If you're looking for real estate information on Central Texas, Austin, Texas, Texas Hill Country, and well, how about if I just say Texas, or mortgage information, or information on all kinds of stuff. You found the right video. I'm Chris Pesek. I'm a broker associate at Pesek Properties. This is my buddy Stephen Babcock. He's a mortgage loan originator with an NMLS number at Motto Mortgage. Steve, what's going on, man?
I am doing well, sir. How are you doing?
You know, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm suffering a little bit. We'll get into that, but yeah, it is. It's after 5, and we call this after hours real estate because we typically drink. Evidently, Shelly is drinking in her hammock. But today,
that's a good day for that.
That's a beautiful.
That is a good day for that.
But today, I'm drinking water.
Sir, I have poured a glass of wine. Hence, I do not have my beer with me right now. Out of that, and I left that glass of wine in the other room.
Oh,
I am in my child's room right now.
Don't lie. You're in Toby's bed.
Yeah, it's our bunk bed. It is. You were right. Yeah, we've got. My wife is using the office, so I've left my drink in there.
It's all good. It's all good.
I'm going to make a shift halfway through, and suddenly I'll be drinking.
And suddenly, you watch Mr. Bean?
I've seen Mr. Bean before.
Oh yeah. High quality comedy there.
It's a race. I'm winning.
No, man. We were out of town this weekend in Nashville for a concert, and then decided last minute yesterday to drive to Memphis for the A&M Houston basketball game.
God, you don't have kids win. Yeah, keep going.
Yeah, I know. Yes, exactly. And we stayed out pretty late. Game was late. It was like almost an 8 o'clock tip. I had a few beverages and then woke up this morning at like 3 o'clock to get on a plane to fly to Houston, then to fly to Austin. We were on the ground in Austin by 9:45.
The people that have those flights at 5 a.m. should just be shot. Whoever thought that was a good idea should just not be allowed to live anymore. I'm sorry. I don't say things like that. But
right. We like them for different reasons. If we're traveling, we're going to get on the ground and we're going to make something out of the first day, right? So we're not going to get shortchanged with the whole travel day. But today, my wife had to work. She had to be back here to work, so it was a necessity.
It's all good. I understand the idea of rushing to a vacation, but I don't really like the idea of suffering into your vacation. Like it just doesn't. All good. It's all good. You know what? To each his own. Fair point. So you were going to go over some stats, I believe, and then we can talk about a topic.
Yeah, let's do. And we've kind of gotten into this now, but every time I try to bring you some little stats from around Austin. So I'm going to jump into what do I have today? I have Georgetown and Taylor. Taylor's an interesting animal. Hard to get a read on it, but Georgetown's not. Georgetown's easy. So let's start with Georgetown. A lot like we're seeing everywhere. Active listings up just a little bit, so we're kind of hitting that spike right now that we usually hit early in the buying or in the peak buying season. I don't know. I think active listings is going to go up maybe one more month, and then I think it's gonna kind of flatten. But really, that's pretty flat.
Usually stops right at the end of March, doesn't it?
No, usually kind of the end of April. That's when we see kind of most of our inventory. But yeah, Georgetown's got a lot of inventory, man. Georgetown's growing. And Brandon Skiba, the client of mine that was talking, they're about to build their third high school. So a lot of stuff going on in Georgetown right Move-in ready homes also up a little bit, again, not much, 10%. So that's ones that can be moved into right away. So the inventory of builder homes is actually dropped a little bit. So that's an interesting side note. And there's a lot of new construction going on in Georgetown. And
Yeah,
that
but they
is,
can't build them fast enough. We talked about this issue. They should have been
yeah,
building them for months.
that's right. Under contract again, up a little bit, right? Not a ton. Average days on market is down pretty significantly, and we're continuing to see that kind of in all the suburb markets around Austin. Average sales price is down $4,000, which is less than 1%, so really stable. And then closed in the last 30 days. We knew this was going to happen. We talked about it, up 19%. Okay, we had a lot of people that closed on houses that they went under contract on before the interest rate spiked. So that's what we're seeing now, those closed houses coming in. So that's Georgetown. Anything stand out to you?
No.
Pretty normal, right?
You know, you and I believe, were texted by a past client of ours, asking about this horrific article she saw about Austin and being in a free fall in terms of values, right? Wasn't that the title of the article? And I believe the article was from the Wall Street Journal.
It was
In
the Wall
fact.
Street Journal. Yep. And about how Austin real estate values are in free fall. Yeah.
Yep.
We're
And and she says, "Is this real? And or is it clickbait?" And it's like, well, during the show, we've proven that prices have not really fallen. I suppose if you bought at the absolute peak, yeah. So if you really want to take the data and manipulate it like that and throw away, years of whatever, but no, we're not in a free fall. In fact, some areas are going up in value. So it's unreal.
I saw an article this weekend about the Wall Street Journal about how their readership is down something like.
I saw the same thing. I knew it. It's like just dropping like a rock. Yeah.
Anyway, so yep, there's Georgetown. Let's look at Taylor, little old Taylor, Texas. So it was interesting, right? Somebody reached out to me was it you? Asked about if Samsung is shutting down operations, because there was an article that said Samsung is going to stop construction in Taylor, which that's a major, major thing if that's going to happen, right?
Yeah.
So my neighbor happens to work for the sheet metal fabricators union. I think that's what it is. He's doing most of their giant duct work for air conditioning and stuff. And they have a bunch of it because they've got to keep these rooms clean and they've got to move so much air and all this other stuff. He's like, yeah, they're shutting down. No, we're dialed back from 60 hours a week to 50 hours a week. That's what's happened. So again, clickbait articles, right? They have scaled back their construction mostly because they don't have enough labor. So anyway, Samsung's not going anywhere. If you saw that article, guys,
man, it's like everyone's got an agenda they're trying to push, right? It's just unreal.
I don't get it. Tell the truth, maybe. I don't know.
The older I get, brother, it's almost like truth is subjective. It's real. It's weird. When you're younger, it's just simple. It's like, what's A plus, 1 + 1 = 2, right? But you get older and people see things differently. The same two people can see the exact same car accident 2 different ways. It's very strange.
It is. Taylor, nothing major happening in Taylor yet. Active listings are up, almost equally split between move-in ready and new construction homes. Under contract is up again. That's a good thing, especially after the spike in interest rates. But I think we're going to chat about that in a little bit too. And just like everywhere else, days on market's coming down. Average sold price went up a little bit. That's pretty significant. That's almost 10%, about 8%. But what you got to remember there is there's so many fewer houses that are selling there. One house can skew this a lot. So take that with a grain of salt. And then closing the last 30 days also up. But again, it doesn't take much to make these percentages huge. So, but yeah, nothing really groundbreaking happening in Taylor right now, which is interesting. I thought it was going to take off a little more this year, but I think that's got a little bit more to do with the interest rates than anything else. By the way, if anybody in Taylor has an old historic house close to downtown, let me know. I've got a buyer looking for one.
So, brother, all the stats are great.
Yep.
But I'll tell you, I was out to lunch today with
a
broker that wants to hire you, by the way. I'm supposed to talk to you after this. I told her there was no way, but I'm okay. Anyways, but I gave her my word. I do my best shot to get you to jump ship. Anyways, she was telling me what was shocking to her. No, they are not. You were so correct. What was shocking to her was the number of realtors that she used to know that was calling her in response to the article you and I were here, the court case, right? That you and I were talking about last show, saying, "What the hell is this? No one's told me about this." And she's like, "You mean your broker has not prepared you for what's coming? This is a shock to you?" And she's telling me she's had like 15 different people call her, and most of which are from different brokerages, where they've told them nothing. In fact, they've gone to ask, and the brokers have been like, "Oh, I don't know what that is. It's probably nothing."
Wow,
brother, this will be a culling. This won't be a cleansing. It'll be a culling, right? I mean, CU. I mean, this is going to be like burning the forest, not chopping it down, right? I mean, like, oh my God.
It'll be interesting. Well, and it's going to end up in some lawsuits from brokers that don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, you think so?
Yeah. Well, and again, you and I talked about it last week. Just the more and more I read and study and look at the proposed settlement and stuff like that, and there's not a ton and I said it last week. There's not a ton that's going to change in my business. Okay, I'm already having those conversations with buyers and sellers. Like that's something that I've been doing all along, and a lot of good agents have been doing it all along. And most agents in Texas, and I'll say most, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. Most agents in Texas have been having conversations like this, actually, talking about commission and where it goes, and that it is negotiable and all this other stuff. I just, I don't see a lot changing for a lot of people, but man, people are losing their minds all across the country. It's nuts. I found out the other day there's only 14 states that have a buyer's representation agreement. 36 states do not have representation agreements between realtors, brokers, and their buyers. That's insane. That floors me, man. How do you not have a representation agreement with somebody you're representing? I don't get it.
Good old boys club.
I guess. I mean, look, if I was, if you were a client of mine, I've known you long enough, I'd do it with a handshake, but that's not something that I extend to everybody.
Man, again, one of these older I get kind of things. There's a reason those contracts exist, right? It's like saying, we're going to get married, but let's plan to fail. I mean, look, come on, nobody gets married expecting for it to fail, but sometimes that happens, and then there's a reason why you had a prenup and all those other things that you know what I mean, for at least the right individuals. I mean, there's a reason the law is that. I mean, the worst lawsuits are the ones amongst friends.
Those are the nasty ones.
Well, the worst ones, yeah, truly. I don't know, man. I'm starting to get very, very nervous about the economy.
I feel that.
We've got months after months after months of data that's not correct, that's been redone the next month, right? But it's.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
It's done in such a way that it is redone. The old data is redone just after the new data is presented. Therefore, we chew on the new data instead of the old data, even though it looks like the new data is false, is fake.
Right.
And it's okay. And then there's the other thing, is the reverse repo market. People don't understand the reverse repo. It took me 2 years to really understand the reverse repo market.
I'm not going to lie.
Think of it this way. There's a pool of cash sitting at the Fed. And if a bank doesn't have enough money to pay everybody the next day, the cash that they need, they go get that pool of cash from the Fed. That's running dry. Okay.
Yeah.
That was it. Like multiple trillions. Now we're at, I think, 400 million. That will run dry by June or July, probably July.
Trillions, and now it's at hundreds of millions.
Yes, and I'm sorry, billions, hundreds of billions, but it should run.
Still not good.
No, but the millions would last a day. But it should run dry in June or July. When that happens, we're in the exact same place we were in 2019 when we had a liquidity crisis. I only see one way out, and it's printing more money. But this time, it's not going to be a few trillion; it's going to be hundreds of trillions. For us to get out of it. And that man, we've already seen what's happening with the currency and all that. The long story short is that all this data that I'm seeing is making me think that rates are not finished going up. I know we're talking about rate cuts, and I know you and I don't want to say this, but I do believe we either have not hyperinflation, stagflation, which is almost worse. Right. And what's not worse. Hyperinflation's the worst. But I do feel as though we may have either stagflation or higher rates. It'd be rough if I don't know if we're going to have both of them, because it'd be tough to say, no, we're not going to raise rates and then raise rates. Right. But the long story short is that things aren't looking that much better right now.
No, they're not.
Yeah. And we just had a total of more than 600 days of the yield curve being inverted. It's more so than any other time in history.
Wow. I didn't realize we'd crossed that far yet or already. Man.
And the yield curve, for those of you watching, is the #1 predictor of there being a recession. The last time we have had a yield curve inversion, which really means short-term rates have higher rates than the long term. So your 15-year mortgage would be at like 5%, but your 30-year would be at 4%. That would be a yield curve inversion. The last 10 times it's happened, we've had a recession. So it's the #1 predictor of a recession.
Yeah. And I'm going to tell you anecdotally, less construction is happening, and I don't mean that as a single family home, stuff like that, but I have more contractors right now and I've got 2 of them. Guys, if y'all need construction work done, that's anything from building brick walls to building a house or putting in sod or whatever. Let me know. I've got contractors that are hungry right now, and nobody's doing work. Like, nobody's hiring them. So anecdotal, but it's a thing. It's, I'm not quite sure what to make of that, but it's just something I've noticed probably the last 3 months.
It's, again, it just bothers me that this kind of economic model here, because you're selling food, water, or shelter. Okay, shelter. People want homes.
Yeah.
Right. It's just whether they can afford them or not.
Right.
And with the conditions out there the way they are. Huh?
Can you afford it where you want it?
Never. I want it on a beach.
Well, no, but I mean, like, let's take Austin, for example. Austin's completely unaffordable. Well, yeah, if you're trying to live in 04 or near the Domain, it might be unaffordable for most people. But, you can still drive to Bastrop, Texas, USA, and buy a brand new 1,500 square foot house for $280,000.
Yeah, and when you get down into the 200s, we had a client just the other day. We were trying to explain to her. She was so concerned about the rate, and look, hey, that's important, but she was like really concerned about the rate. And we did this scenario for her where we showed her a 7% interest rate, and then we showed her a 6% interest rate, and the difference in her payment between those full 1% changes was like $110 a month. Right, out of her, like, I can't remember what the total payment was, but in other words, hey, look, no one wants to spend the extra $110 a month, but it's not the 800, 7. She thought it was going to be some astronomical difference, and at the end of the day, it just wasn't. And furthermore, rates aren't going to change by 1%. I mean, that the times that's happened in history. I mean, it can happen, but man, it's just rare that they change overnight 1 full percent. That's rare.
Right. Yeah.
Usually the market prices it in.
Yeah, seriously. But yeah, I mean, that's the, I don't know, man. I think what it is, and like I said, these are contractors that do, like contracting for you and me, not for general contractors. And they, I just think people I don't think they have the disposable income that they've had.
We had a contractor come over here. We had our old Guian home. I hate you, Guian, so much. They screwed up our flooring in our house. The flooring that was supposed to be like a lifetime flooring started peeling up in the center all throughout the house. So they came back. They replaced the flooring, but didn't replace the baseboards. I don't know how to do this. So I did my best. And we've got like this one little section I just could not figure out. Dude comes over. We're talking like 5 feet maybe. And it's curved around, you'd have to do some cuts. And he's like, well, $1,800 for that. And I was like, well, for $1,800, I'm going to do it myself. So I figured out how to do it myself. I got all the cuts down manually. By the way, I don't have like a special saw, but I was, just cutting like this. I finally got it to work. I don't have a nail gun, so I bought a nail gun, wrong size nail gun, split all my stuff in half. And I'm like, damn it, I should have paid the guy.
Still, hey, even if it cost you $500, you still save 13.
I haven't finished the job yet, but I do know what you're saying though. There was that South Park episode, Welcome to the Pandaverse, where they oh my God, they changed every one of the this is not appropriate. They changed every one of the South Park characters into gay diverse women to make fun of Disney for what they're doing to all the whatever. Okay, and but the other part, but that's not the point. The point is that of the story, the other side, there's like two parts in every South Park episode. There's like the two stories, right? That was the first story. The other story was that all these college educated men couldn't fix anything in their home, so they had to hire contractors. Well, it turns out nobody wants the college educated men anymore because Siri and all them, they're all taken over, and ChatGPT, and nobody needs them for answers anymore. So these guys don't have any more jobs. They can't find anybody to come fix their house because the people that do know how to fix everything at the home are now so highly in demand that they become like millionaires. And at the end, they're like, these two contractors are like yelling at each other over like the Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk thing, like who's going to get up to space first, right? But I mean, I watched that and realized I've got a college degree and I don't know how to do a baseboard. It's just cutting wood and nailing it in. It can't be that tough, right? Like, what's wrong with me? So it made me angry, but it was tough.
That would hit a little close to home for you.
Damn it! Yeah, yeah.
But it's that man. That's a real thing that you just said right there. I mean, think about it. I've said it, man. I stopped teaching in 2011. Okay. And before I stopped teaching, I was a huge proponent telling kids, no, you don't have to go to college. That's the biggest load of shit ever. You don't have to go. I don't use my college degree. I mean, yeah, I use it, but I don't use it. And had I stayed on a construction site, become a general contractor, I'd probably be light years ahead of where I am in terms of financial gain at this point in my life.
Yeah.
A friend's son didn't want to go to college, graduated high school with his electrician certificate and started working for his apprenticeship and working towards his master electrician as an 18-year-old.
Yeah, what people don't understand. Dude, you live with your mom and dad from 18 to like 20, and you do that. You get the apprenticeship and you start. By the time you're 21, you may be making more money than your parents.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, it's unreal how
he's going to be 20 years old and making six figures. I know he is. Like, there's not even a question.
Right.
And I know six figures isn't what it used to be, right? But
then when he becomes 35, 40 years old, he starts doing it on his own, hiring his own people, and all of a sudden now he's making 7, right?
Yep. That's right.
It used to be the blue collar thing, and now it's not. And then the Chat GPTs of the world, we thought those were going to replace the blue collar jobs, right? And they replaced the ones we didn't expect, which was artists first have been basically replaced. Right. And now they're coming from musicians.
Yeah,
it's unreal. It's unreal. And then, but think about 5 years ago when none of that existed. At least to us, it didn't exist, right? Now think about what's going to happen in 5 more years.
Right.
And then add another 5 years to that.
What's the exponential growth of technology thing? It's a law.
It's Moore's law, and it's been proven wrong several times, but it used to be that computers would double in speed every 18 months.
Double in speed for a similar or less price.
People just simplified to 2 years, but yeah, it's Moore's law.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
But okay, even if it's been proven wrong, I think the general idea is probably not too far off base. And that's
You know
what
what is funny though is every time it's proven wrong, it goes for like 2 or 3 years, and like, well, we haven't doubled yet, and then there's some brand new computer development that brings us back up. So it may be right, but so maybe I don't know. I
over
shouldn't
the
say it's been
long
proven
term,
wrong.
maybe. I don't know.
On a long enough timeline, you can still prove it right.
Well, but that's what you're getting at, right? Like it took us like the last 5 years were kind of baby steps for AI, and look what's happened over the last year. It's like
AI is solving stuff that we've never even heard of. I mean, it actually helped us. I don't even get into it, but I mean, it's done things that are just sci-fi kind of stuff. I mean, it's just unreal. Cancer diagnoses, cures, things like that. I mean,
what I was going to say, yeah,
unreal. And so now, and you think that I'd do a better job of giving somebody a mortgage than an AI in 15 years after it's had all the time to become, mimic me and be better and have my own, mannerisms and treat people like, with my eyes and all that, just think all that stuff. But all the little subtleties, it's going to pick up on all of them. It's going to study this video or others like it. And I mean, dude, you give it a long enough timeline and I don't see how anybody's job, except for the ones that really show up, are safe. And that's only if people aren't comfortable with computers. Right. So I don't. It's strange, but for the first time in my lifetime, I've actually thought maybe we do need some other form of government for what we're headed into. I don't think capitalism will work if there are no jobs.
That's an interesting point. I hadn't thought about that.
I mean, brother, it's one thing being lazy. It's another thing if there's literally no work or anything you try is already being done better with the computer. Let me ask you this, with what I just said in mind. Okay, now it's 15 years in the future. Not 5 years ago when there was no ChatGPT, okay? Right. To a point where you can't tell the difference, okay? Just go with it, all right? Maybe it's not 15 years, but let's just go with it. You were just now, in that scenario, wrongfully accused of a crime. It's a tough one. Now, would you rather pay for a lawyer that is afforded to you by the state who doesn't have enough time on his hands to whatever, and who's going to have to manually read every single one of these old case studies to see what the argument and the defense is going to be, right? Yeah. Or would you rather put your trust into a computer that can scan every single case study that's ever been done in the history of law and come up with the defense in a heartbeat? By the way, you got to pay the human hourly.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to go out on a limb, and I know exactly what you're saying. I'm going to go out on a limb, but I think we're going to see some major legislative limitations.
Oh, good luck. The problem with that is that you limit your citizens and another country doesn't, they take over.
Well, I mean, yeah, but we've got a lot of lawyers that are politicians. They're not going to allow themselves to be run out of jobs if we can legislate against it.
Well, no, until competition takes you out of the way. Blockbuster Video is a great example of that, right? They didn't have a choice.
Yeah, that's true.
They didn't have a choice.
Well, that goes back to what we're talking about realtors, right? At some point, yes, it is all going to change at some point. Absolutely, without a doubt.
Did you hear about the military exercise they did with AI?
No.
So our military,
games? Huh? Is this like war games, Matthew Broderick?
Yeah. Our military gave their version of an AI. So, by the way, our military has a version of AI. They gave that AI in a war game. Okay, the ability to go and take out the enemy, and it was like, I don't want to. And so, to motivate the AI, yeah, that's scary, right? To motivate the AI. That should be the story. To do the job, it did another like clone of it. So now it's two AIs against each other, and they're going to do a game, and we're going to have them score points to see who can do more points, who can win more points. That AI was like, then the AIs were like, yeah, let's go. I'm totally down. I'm totally down with competing against this other person. Okay, great. Or with this other, not person, sorry, other AI. So they started competing, and of course, there's rules, right? Think back to Top Gun. Don't fly below the ceiling or below the deck or whatever. There's all these rules involved. You may not go into this country, XYZ, right? And so let's just say Unit A or AIA was fighting AIB, and A had the upper hand. Well, B didn't like that and went to go cheat and go outside the zone. And its operator said, you can't do that. Okay. So then B turns around and fires on the operator.
What?
Yep.
That's a real
the
thing.
AI took out but it was all, it didn't know it wasn't taking it out. The AI could have been in the real world. It was using everything. I mean, it had the safety mode on, but it didn't know it. Right.
Yeah.
So the AI turned around and took out the operating station so that it could then go back and then beat the other AI.
So Terminator.
Now, so look, the obvious, the obvious answer is let's stop funding Skynet, right? Let's stop Terminators. However, if you stop, what do the other countries do? Do they stop too? You hope they do. You can't guarantee they don't until one day when all your computers don't work and your cell phones stop and the water. We got a what is it? FBI just released the big thing. Watch out for your water supply. Everyone in the United States, cyber attacks coming for the water supplies. It's like, what? Anyway, sorry. Don't mean to throw that out there. But
and that's the fun part about this show is the rabbit holes that we go down.
Yeah, I see the world changing dramatically in the next 50 years.
Yeah.
In ways you and I could never have guessed.
In 50 years, it'll be unrecognizable. Yeah.
Okay. Yes. That's how I feel.
No, there's no doubt in my mind. That's why in 50 years, either I'm dead or I'm somewhere on a mountaintop with a big beard and stuff.
And no metal.
And no metal.
Nothing that can be scanned.
Metal. That's right.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, let's wrap it up on that, guys. If you've got comments or thoughts or questions or anything like that after the fact, make sure you drop them in the comments. It is always more fun when we're getting interaction, and we'll make sure to answer that stuff. But we'll be back doing the exact same bat thing on the same bat channel next week.
See you later.
Later.